Nintendo's been distributing some demo codes for The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes, and the public can try it out. Unfortunately, we didn't get to play together like I had hoped we would, but I did get the chance to play online, and I had a really fun time. Have the rest of you had the opportunity to try it out? Alex, I know you were particularly sour on the game.
I actually enjoyed it rather much compared to our experience at E3. I think us picking the Fire Temple dungeon was probably a bad move.
The hubris.
Playing online was actually a surprisingly good experience. I really liked the way that the emotes are used.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with those.
Yeah, everybody seems to be like really enjoying those. My wife played it for a little bit too, and they really, really kind of helped her embrace the co-op aspect. Mm-hmm. You know, it's no substitute for a full-fledged Zelda game.
Of course.
And in many ways, it feels like it could have been a mode bolted onto a 2D or a 2.5D 3DS Zelda game rather than like a standalone thing. And maybe that's something that they could do going forward. They can take assets from a base game and have a multiplayer dungeon sort of side mode. But, you know, I enjoyed it a lot more than I did at E3, and that says something.
That's good, that's good.
Well, yeah, you know, I think not being on the crowded show floor surrounded by noisy people helps, too. It makes it really hard to concentrate.
Yeah, that was one of the big things we were talking about in our E3 discussion of it, was, you know, none of us really felt like we got a proper understanding of the game. But, you know, here is the thing, though. Triforce Heroes is a lot of fun. You know, I've really enjoyed what I've played of the demo, and although we didn't get a pre-release copy of the game to review for you listeners and help you decide whether you're interested, I've been hearing some pretty good things about it on the whole. But I do see where sort of, you know, you were talking in the past, Alex. The boldest statement probably you've made are they really trying to make a Zelda game here? And I do see where you're coming from in that. You know, looking at the Zelda brand, Triforce Heroes is a ton of fun, but, you know, a Zelda game should never stop at just fun. Like, it needs to be adventurous, it needs to be memorable, it needs to be evocative, and Triforce Heroes is just none of those things. So while it is a great game that you can pick up and play and really, really enjoy, it's just not on par with the rest of the series.
Yeah, and in particular, you know, the sort of dungeon runner stuff works well, but it's missing that world at the center of it.
Well, is that not something you get in the full game, or
probably not to the extent that most people would?
No, I believe
expecting.
What the full game is there's like a hub town, but the dungeon structure is still very much like a level.
Oh, right, okay, like Four Swords.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. So I think a lot of people are going to look back on this in a few years, and I think the general consensus is going to be that it's better than like Link's Crossbow Training. It's better than the Four Swords games. All great games, by the way. I know I'm not knocking those, but you know the experience that Triforce Heroes offers is very much a game. Whereas the titles that really define the Zelda brand, you know, your Ocarinas, your Wind Wakers, your Link puns of the days, they're a lot more than that, you know. So it's okay that Triforce Heroes doesn't stack up.
Yeah,
it's a spin-off.
Yeah.
Now, this does also make me kind of positive about the prospect of dungeon running in future Zelda games, possibly even 3D Zelda games with friends or with strangers online. Because the interaction between players and even some of the combat scenarios, when the ones that don't really rely so much on totem time, at least, were really kind of fun, actually. I liked running from Moldorm and sort of having one player distract it while the other players try to hit it. That was an interesting dynamic. You have things like enemies throwing bombs at you, and you kind of have to team up to take them out, and that was fun. So I could see a lot of scenarios like that being present in future Zelda games that aren't focused on co-op, but perhaps offer some kind of co-op component.
Yeah, and I think I've heard the single player is similar in that you can sort of, you know, as you switch from hero to hero, you're setting these things up in really cool ways, and I don't know if... So basically the levels are structured in this way that you can play them as just yourself, or you can go online and play them with other people. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure that a full 3D adventure Zelda game would really be terribly well suited for that. You know, I think that the dungeon structure and the puzzle layout in Triforce Heroes is very much something that you have to tackle with 3, like, links. And so I can't see them integrating the co-op with the single player nearly as seamlessly in a 3D adventure Zelda as they do with Triforce Heroes. I could see it as like what you were saying, maybe another mode.
Yeah, well, in particular, I think that would work well for 2D games where the dungeon design really does have to change to accommodate multiple players. I guess I've played enough of these kind of action-adventure RPG sorts of games that do have co-op, but there's no separate mode, like Dark Souls, for example. Where I've seen the way that plays out, and I don't think it would be that much of a challenge to adapt a 3D Zelda game. just to have another player drop in and kind of provide you some support.
Hello everybody, thank you for listening to this Nintendo Week clip, NWC. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us here on YouTube for more highlights and discussion videos from Nintendo Week podcast, or subscribe to us on iTunes for weekly breakdowns of all your Nintendo news, discussion segments on subjects, games, and more, and tons of other features. Thanks for listening, and we will see you tomorrow with another NWC.